Today we're going to do a rest and restore class, kind of work through some letting go of the muscles before we go into our meditation. We do have the dogs in the studio, so if you notice sounds from the dogs, just be aware that they might be moving around so it doesn't surprise you when you hear it. So we're going to start by taking in our environment. Come into a seated position. If you have a chair and you want to sit in a chair, go ahead and sit in a chair. Begin to take in your environment. So there's this wonderful thing we often do when we start to do our yoga practice or our meditation practice, and it can be so sweet and rewarding to completely control your environment and have the candles lit, have everything feel nice and soft and warm and fluffy. But I do believe that our yoga practice should prepare us for our actual life. So, for instance, think of a crowded New York City subway. If you always practice your meditation and your yoga in a serene and controlled environment, the New York City subway is real life, and it's a little bit harder to drop into those practices if we're not used to it. So I do feel that noises and interruptions help us. They're part of the learning process. And especially today, we have the guys downstairs with their drills. So take in the sounds. You probably can hear them over this microphone. And try not to judge whether they should or should not be there. Just notice that they are a sound. Start to take in, and of course, as soon as I bring it up, they stop. So take in the sounds of the environment. Really notice what is around you. Give it the time and space that your body and your fight or flight system is aware of your space, so that you can start to just accept that they're a noise. Accept that it's there. Take in the noises and sounds and interruptions of your own environment. And start to notice those sounds. Try not to label them. Just notice that it's a sound, that it's there. The sound is a vibration. Start to notice what's going on internally. So bring your focus internally. Feel your hips. Feel your spine. Give some wiggles. Feel your shoulders. Feel your neck. Take any movements that your body feels to be craving right now. Some wiggles, some twists, some spirals, lifting of the shoulders. Starting to just be inside your own body. Landing in this present moment in time. Finding your breath. And today we're going to work with a mudra. So things we can do with our hands. And there's lots of beliefs that there's all these nerve endings, if we put them certain ways, that can make us perhaps connect with certain things. Could also be the power of connecting your mind to a certain shape and a certain thought. But whatever it is, we're going to try one of the cards today and see if it works for you. Let go of what you should feel and just have an experience. So we're going to take our fingers and we're going to bring our little finger and our index finger to touch on both hands and wrap the left fingers underneath the right fingers. So left two middle fingers come down, middle finger and ring finger come down towards the hand, soft. Wrap the other two over, touch the little fingers, index fingers, and then bring the thumbs down. Bring your hands to your solar plexus area. Soften the shoulders, soften any tension you brought back into your back. And if it's comfortable for you, close your eyes and really bring your focus to the tips of your fingers, to the shape of your hands, and perhaps to that space. We lost Facebook. So Zach. So I'm going to continue on YouTube. So perhaps through that space, my computer's not charging, in between your hands and to your solar plexus. Notice any sensations physically. Notice any changes in your state of mind. Start to have a truly physical sensation, a physical experience. Notice what is going on in this body in this moment in time with your hands in this shape. Can you perhaps feel the space between each palm and then between your palms and your solar plexus? Are you noticing a change in your breath pattern? A change in the muscles of the face? A change in the thoughts? And every time the thoughts begin to pull and try to draw you back out, draw you back up, letting the thoughts be the star of the show, return to physical sensation, gently. The practice of meditation is to not get it perfect every time. It's a practice, just like we work out a muscle, we work out our mind. So gently draw it back to the physical sensation, having a physical experience and letting your mind just focus on what is going on in the body. And then as you're holding your hands in this shape, I'm going to read the card. So in this particular belief set, they call this one self-esteem. I am true to myself. I am a child of the universe, and this gives me the right to receive love and respect, to be successful and contented. I treat myself accordingly, making demands upon myself and indulging my needs with a good sense of balance. I stand up for myself, and if need be, I am my own support and advocate. I love myself even when I have not earned love, for then my need is greatest. Nobody is perfect, and my weaknesses and faults are like doors which open up onto new worlds as soon as I have discarded the part of them which is negative and in a hindrance. Look out with your mind's eye upon a wild and colorful landscape. Each plant, each animal has its value and makes its contribution to the health and harmony of the whole community. I am valuable and good, just as I am. I make my contribution to the benefit of all. I am true to myself. So as we move through the rest of our practice, perhaps keeping that concept of being true to yourself. And for this practice, we're going to think about that meaning being true to what's going on in yourself. So we tell ourselves all these stories and these lies and these things that make us feel like we're going in the correct or right direction. We're shaping ourselves into the right box. But how about just being true to ourselves? Noticing when the thoughts are pulling us in all directions. Noticing when we allow ourselves to be floated away with them. Noticing that that's not right or wrong, that's just part of being human. Noticing when a physical sensation is drawing all of our attention. Perhaps giving it the space to draw our attention and feel it and be with it and notice what it is. Noticing perhaps a wave of emotion floating on through. Noticing it, sitting with it, being true to it, letting it be there, experiencing it, and then maybe just letting it flow through, just the way that our emotions are supposed to be fluid, floating, fluid, flowing. So begin to soften your hands out of your mudra and bring them onto your lap and just kind of wiggle your hands and your fingers. Take some movements with your hands. Feel your wrists, maybe point your fingers backwards. Just starting to feel your hands. So we're not looking for muscular engagement today. Today is rest and restore. So we're just looking to move and free. Move your hands in whichever way feels correct in your body right now. Have your own experience, and even more importantly, look at your hands as you're doing it. Maybe take some soft, slow circles. Maybe reverse the circles. And then we'll think about the shoulders. We're going to move the shoulders up and down and around in whichever way. Feels like we're moving and releasing. Pull them back, squeeze their shoulders together. Start to really move in all the directions the shoulders can move in. As if giving the shoulders space. Bring the torso neutral. We're going to take little soft spirals with the spine. Soft spirals. Thinking about all the directions our spine can move in. And back the other way. And bring your seat to neutral, and we're going to move through rainbows. So we're going to move through left and right. Inhale your arms up, exhale, drop a hand and lengthen aside. Inhale up, exhale, drop and lengthen. So notice I said lengthen, not fold. So this is folding over, compromising this other side. We're lengthening and then lifting and then lengthening. So as I fold to the left a little, I'm lengthening the right side. Lengthen, stretch, open up the rib cage. Find the space to move your spine. Bring your arms up and then bring your hands down to about where your chin is. And we're going to twist. Inhale, center, and twist to the side with the exhale. Inhale, center, exhale, twist. Really moving and breathing and just finding the ways that your spine can twist. And then really check in. So as you twist, you're pushing into a knee or a foot or a hip to try and squeeze a little more. Back off and ask yourself who you're competing with. Bring it to center, and this time as you exhale and twist, take a little elbow down towards the knee. So imagine you're reaching for your groceries. This is another way our spine moves. Inhale, center, exhale, just a little. So we're not looking for a lot of muscular action, just finding the ways our spine moves and maybe releasing a little tension or holding patterns or gripping. And bring it back to center, and then again, rolling the shoulders, just making sure you release any tension we brought back into the shoulders. Bring the arms out, and we're just going to roll the shoulders. So we're spiraling the shoulders, corkscrewing the shoulders. Use the hand as a guide. Turn and look at the right hand, spin it backwards. And switch sides and turn and look at the left. So starting to move through the shoulders as if we're undoing all of the patterns that we use throughout the day. Notice any compensation patterns that are starting to form. Notice what's going on in your legs, your hips, your low back. Start to soften and loosen. Notice your neck, soften your face. And then bring it back down. Land your hands on your legs and bring some circles onto your legs. Maybe starting to feel the muscles of the legs, starting to feel your base. And then come on down to your back. So make sure you have any props you need handy for your meditation pose. Have the bed here in case the dog comes back. So I'm going to show with a chair. You don't have to use a chair. If you're using the chair, make sure your body is close enough to the chair that your legs can comfortably rest on the chair. Start to land on your back. And then look at your toes. Maybe lifting up your feet. Make sure you're really connecting with your toes. And then you're going to move your feet. So we're going to point our toes and then pull them back towards our shins. Pointing and pulling them back. Just trying to move through all the muscles of the feet. And then bringing the feet out and then in towards each other. Out and in. Watching for those compensation patterns. Keep an eye on the low back. Keep an eye on the neck. Soften the face. Wiggle the toes. Just soften the hips. Maybe sway the knees and hips a little. I'm going to do some somatic movements. So somatic movements are designed to get some shaking going, some muscular reset going. We're shaking up. Imagine we're shaking a muscle and loosening it up. Resetting it, trying to get rid of anything that's not needed in the muscle. We're going to take our arms up above our shoulders, fingertips towards the ceiling. Not lots of muscular holding. We're going to lift them up and we're going to drop our shoulders. So we're looking for the wiggles in our shoulders. Trying to get our shoulders to just wiggle and drop. And then bring your hands down towards your hips, not close to your hips. Place the palms down and you're just going to try and wiggle by moving the weight, like pushing into one palm at a time. Quickly, not too much muscular action. Trying to get the wiggles to happen all the way across the chest, maybe even down into the torso, into the neck. Trying to loosen and soften and let go. Take a deep breath in, and with the exhale, suddenly stop moving and land wherever your body lands. We're going to think about the rest of our bodies. You can do this on the chair, or you can have your feet on the ground. We're going to have our heels press into the ground or the chair and flick our toes. So now we're trying to look for more of a whole body shape. So flick your toes and try and get the whole body moving. Try not to do it with muscular action in the feet, just kind of flicking, loosening, softening, seeing how many wiggles you can get in the body. See if you can get the wiggles even into the muscles of the face. And then take a deep breath in, and with the exhale, let the body land. Soften to wherever it softens to. Notice what is present. And then set up for your meditation pose. So, however you want your body to be for a still pose. So a position that you can hold without physical discomfort. So physical discomfort will distract us. Will take us to the discomfort. So find the position that you are going to be comfortable in. So if you want to stay with your feet up on the chair. So one of the things that can happen when your legs are up on a chair is your knees can splay wide. And one of the things that can be handy to do is place something between your leg and the edge of the chair so that your legs no longer feel like they're splaying or falling in space. You have some feedback for where your legs are, so that your hips can loosen their burden. See if that makes a difference for you. You can also put something like a pillow on top of your legs, as long as it's not too heavy, not too compressive. You can also put something on top of your hips. So find your position. Maybe you just put something underneath your knees. Find your blanket. Take your time to get very, very, very comfortable. So as you're landing in your pose, begin to notice the parts of your body that are touching support, so that you can start to soften and release into that support. It can be very helpful as you begin to settle in to say, right here in this moment, all of my needs are met. I can soften, I can release, I can take a break. Start to notice the breath in the body. See if you can soften the muscles of the torso a little more and let it move a little more freely. Check in on the muscles of the neck, the muscles of the face. And thinking about the mudra practice that we did, the hand practice that we did from the start of class, in that solar plexus area, and imagining that ball of energy right in the solar plexus area. So when we think about the chakra system in the teachings of yoga, teach us certain places in the body relate to certain things, but one of the easiest to associate with is the solar plexus area. This is often where we physically feel our emotions. Think about butterflies in the stomach when you're nervous. It's all in this space. So think about this space and a ball of energy here. If you're a visual person and you want to help bring your focus here, you can think about yellow burning sun, a ball of yellow energy right here in this space. And what do we know about this sun and burning energy? It's moving, it's fluid. It's fiery, it's strong, it's powerful. And start to think about the concept of being true to yourself. How many times have you had a physical sensation in this space? Had an emotion arise, and you have actively pushed it down, pushed it down, pushed it down, pushed it down, trying not to let it come up. And if it's particularly powerful, how many times have you experienced that flushing feeling of it trying to force itself back up to be noticed? And you push, 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 and it forces, forces, forces. How many times have you had this experience? And in this experience, were you being true to yourself? Perhaps it was in a moment where it was socially unacceptable to display this emotion. So you pushed, and you tried to suppress it, and it tried to bring itself to the surface, and it was a struggle. Think about that internal physical struggle that happens. And then the mind starts firing and starts trying to tell the emotions what to do. And the emotions keep just trying to be the emotions. And think about this space and what being true to this space, this fluid space, might mean. And we begin to see emotions as filters for our environment. Emotions tell us what's going on around us. Emotions tell us what's going on inside. And it's not that we need to choose our actions solely based on these emotions, but that they need to be recognized and felt and be true. So keeping our focus right in this emotional space. What is present here? What sensations? And when I ask you the question, what is present here, try not to cognitively answer with a label of the emotion. Try to answer with the physical body, with an experience, with a feeling. What do you feel? And now as you notice this space, perhaps there are multiple emotions present. Notice that too is a possibility, that we can hold space for many things, even when they're opposing. think about a time when perhaps you were disappointed in a loved one. You were disappointed, and yet you held love for the loved one. Two opposing sensations possible at the same time. And then think about that concept and that possibility for yourself. You can be disappointed in yourself and your choice of actions, your choice of words. And it is also possible to love oneself even as you make your mistakes. It's possible to love oneself even as we experience emotions that, as our society trains us not to experience or not to display. And with these practices and experiences of truly being in this space and feeling this space, become aware of the physical sensations, and we catch them quicker when they arise, so that we're less surprised by them in our day-to-day life. We know what those physical sensations are. We know, for example, when we experience rage coming to the body, we often grip our hands and fists. Oftentimes this can begin to happen and our brain has not yet caught up to this. And we can start to see it happen and go to that physical space and experience, recognize it, see what needs to be heard and felt. And then from a less reactive space, we can make our choices for our actions. Start to imagine your little ball of energy expanding and growing. Imagine this ball of energy is making a soft swirling circle. And as it's swirling, it's kind of catching all the little pockets that we've stuffed down and sweeping them out, sweeping away the tension of a suppressed emotion. Slowly expanding all across the torso, across the hips, even across the low and mid back. Imagine it catches all the little corners of emotions we've tucked in underneath the organs. This gently sweeping, cleansing ball. Allowing the body to bring to surface anything that's ready to be released. Trying not to think of particular memories or particular experiences, but allowing the body to release its holding patterns and gripping. Maybe your little ball of energy needs to begin to split into two balls and travel down the legs. Maybe you've been stuffing stuff down so deep. They need to sweep up some stuff down the legs. And all the way to the soles of the feet. Sweeping away things no longer needed. And draw your energy back to the solar plexus area. Your focus right into the solar plexus area. Still swirling, still moving, still sweeping away any tension, anything no longer needed. Can you imagine it making a little more space for the breath in the torso? A little more freedom for the organs. Can you imagine all those emotions that we've suppressed in this space are kind of clenching and restricting our food as it passes through, ready to be digested, our breath as it comes in, ready to be transformed. It's all been restricting and closing and holding. And this little ball of energy is just going to gently soften and sweep away, make space. Perhaps you can begin to hear your stomach gurgling. Digestion beginning. And celebrate those belly rumbles, the freedom that your stomach, your digestive system is beginning to have. Fight or flight turning off and rest and digest beginning. And then as if pulling your little warm ball of energy in towards your spine and then up the spinal cord. Bring it to the top of the spinal cord and rest it at the very top of the spinal cord in the very center of the brain. As if this little yellow sun is going to illuminate the mind. Fiery burning sun, perhaps burning and swirling away some of the thoughts and holding patterns of the thoughts that we no longer need. Your brain has this wonderful mechanism for making familiar patterns so that we can get to certain things quicker. This helps us drive home without having to think too hard about the direction. And it also helps us walk that familiar path down a treacherous memory. So as you have your little burning sun sitting at the very middle, the center, of the brain. Imagine it sweeping away some of these holding patterns that we no longer need. Not that we're trying to push the memory away, but we're trying to rewrite the track that we get to that memory. Rewrite that worn path in the woods. Allow the memory to be there. Allow the experience to be there. Perhaps sweep away the path that we constantly walk on. If you're a visual person, if you're happy with the imagery of staying with your ball, just sweeping and swirling and cleansing, or if you like the imagery of it being a well-worn path, many well-worn paths in your brain, begin to really bring the image of that path into your mind. Maybe it's a mountainside or a field, and it has a really well-worn, muddy path. Imagine that there's just a gentle breeze beginning to sweep away this path. So it's going to bring in the leaves. It's going to blow in a little dirt from somewhere else. And imagine that you have little seeds in your hands. And you're just going to sow little seeds of grass over the path. And watch the path begin to sprout and grow and change and adjust. Maybe you see little flowers popping up in your path. Transformation of the path. And then return back to the center of the mind, imagining this yellow ball of energy sweeping. And begin to see if you can expand your ball throughout the entire skull. As if your whole head were filled with this sweeping, soft, swirling, transformative energy. And then just land in the here and now, having your own experience, Notice when the thoughts start to batter and draw your attention away. And just return to the practice of bringing that ball of energy right to the center of the brain, as if you're trying to feel the ball of energy right there. No matter how many times the thoughts and distractions pull you away, just gently come back. Draw back right to the center. Slowly and softly, just getting to the point where you completely surrender and let go. Maybe just a second. And maybe just a few more seconds next time. Surrendering and letting go to the moment. To whatever is present. If you're in a space that you feel you need more time in, please take your time. Tune us out. Continue your practice. Take as much time as you need. If you need to finish up at the 60-minute mark, we're getting close. So finish up with us. And take a few moments just to really bring your awareness into the physical body and notice where it is, how it feels. Find sensation. Wiggle your toes. Wiggle your fingers. Maybe take a little shuffle of the shoulders, a little shuffle of the head. Softening and waking the body. Bring the hands together and rub them together and make them nice and warm. And now we're going to return to the mudra practice that we began with. So our left middle finger and ring finger tip towards the palm. Little finger and index finger remain up. You wrap the right middle finger and ring finger over. Little fingers touch. Index fingers touch. Thumbs touch and point away from the index fingers, so making a diamond shape. And then bring them back over your solar plexus area. Notice anything present. Notice perhaps a deeper connection to the hands. Maybe it doesn't work for you at all. There are no right answers. Soften your hands. Let your hands come to your thighs and make little circles on your thighs, particularly if your legs are up on the chair. Use your hands to squeeze, release in towards each other, and then curl up in a ball in a fetal position. Taking your time to land in the fetal position, protective position. Time that reminds us of a time in the womb when all of our needs were met. Come into that protective little ball. Returning to a time when we had not judged ourselves as negative or positive. We were just that little spark of life. Connect within to that spark of life. Knowing that it's there, unchanged by our experiences, waiting for us to connect within. And then take your time, come on up to a seated position and bring your hands to prayer at heart space. Connect with this gesture of bringing our left and right sides to meet in front of our heart, as if accepting ourselves as whole and complete precisely as we are. Moment to consider the concept of being true to our emotions and feeling and being present with our emotions does not mean we're giving ourselves a permission to choose our actions solely based on our emotions. That we give them the space to be heard and felt, rather than suppressed and judged. We can hold presence for these emotions, these natural states of being human, so that they take us less by surprise. And then we can choose our actions more wisely without being ruled by this space. May we all experience a little freedom, a little compassion, a little kindness. Thank you for joining me.